Doing the bearing job on a hitch horizon. Pull the shell off, set it yonder. The bolt snapped off on this one, but remove this back bolt here. Flywheel comes off. Remove the series of bolts here, 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 and then there's 3. 1, 2, 3. There's nuts on each side and they're all crimped lock nuts. Once that comes and pulls apart, this whole assembly slides out the back. Once you get all the bolts out, like I was telling you, top of the bottoms, it's free. You just grab onto it and pull, and the seal is attached. The bearings are pressed in, and it's a kit. Then all you have to do is this part here on the inside. It comes off like the Neptunes, and you put there's a kit for that. 2 kits that you'll need is this one, which is a Trunnion Shaft Kit, and this one, which is the bearing housing and hardware. Remove the front, remove the band, pull off the seal, remove the clevis clamp, remove the shroud, pull off the front, and the drum slides out. Remove the clamp, remove the band, and don't forget the ground, otherwise you'll rip that off. Pull off the outer shell, comes off. There's a gasket on top here, you can see when you start pulling it apart. The gasket comes out, and this is all replaceable in the kit. It gives you a seal for the top trim ring. This is the inner basket, the outer basket. You lay it down, just like the Neptunes. You get the 4 bolts and the spinner, and that's all part of the kit. There's no seal on the inside that you have to worry about. You just gotta clean the drum real nice and put it back together. Once you get that all tore down right there, pull those bolts out. Sometimes you get a little pry it underneath to pull that top off. Set that aside. The long shaft holds them on, go all the way through. You gotta sometimes pound those a little bit, get them to free up, and then once you do that, you just lift the basket up and to expose the rods that go all the way through. The kit comes with new rods and then a spinner, and you just put it back in the same way, paying attention to how they go in the front, because it's a tapered triangle piece. The seal back in, the fat part, when you spread open the inside, there's a thin side and a fat side. Obviously the fat side goes between the outer drum here and the inside of the outer lip. And then just put it back together. Alright, okay, so by far the most difficult part so far is getting this stupid front part back on with the seal even, so it doesn't leak and the gasket don't roll. Make sure you lube it, obviously, otherwise it won't slide nice, it'll bunch up. You will have a little bit in the top where it puckered a little, but make sure that's not a big deal. The manufacturer says it's fine. Your torque ratio, make sure you get that right, or you will over or under crimp it, and that this dot obviously is at the top. Even if your seal has been rolled, that is at the top for a specific reason, with an X on one side and a check mark on the other. So make sure that's straight. I always put the front back together first, so then you don't have to hold the back, and it kind of centers itself a little without the drum falling off. Okay, when you unbox your outer kit, you're going to have another exactly the same bag as the other ones. So you can use one kit and save the other for a different time. Same nut, same bolt, same stuff. Most importantly, and you look at this, it has one leg that's longer than the other two, which is the bottom right, and the 2 left ones are shorter. It goes in that way to help it center, so when you're squeezing it all together, it doesn't bind up, bunch up, and get off center, so it centers itself. That's why I put the front together first. Make sure you line up the longer one towards the bottom right. Push it in, wiggle it until you get the top, sides, and bottoms all the way in. You'll see it comes all the way together, so the front here on this outer part is flush with the outside of this one. On each one, just drop in the bolts. You will drop in the 3 inner seal bolts, but do not tighten them up because there's a procedure that we have to do to make sure that all of this doesn't get too tight and squeezed together and we don't roll that seal on the inside and cause leakage. Put that together and moving on. All right, last crucial part in your kit, you will find this, the spacer gap guide. You put on your flywheel, you hook this behind it. It goes on the bolt and it hangs down. What you do is you push the inner drum all the way back until it hits as far back as it will go. You tighten this slightly until it puts pressure between the washer, flywheel, and this doesn't move anymore. Back it off to the right, since it's a left-handed thread, back it off to the right to loosen it, just enough to slip this out. Okay? When you do that, the manufacturer wants you to push, get on the other side of the front, grab the inner drum, and pull it like you're trying to pull it out as far as you can. Then they want you to push it back as far as you can and to retighten to specifications, which is, it's in the book, the exact specifications for tightening them. What that does is that inner seal, it causes it from rolling and it reseats that nice, and that's what the gap's for, so you don't crush it and pinch that roll inside of there. After that, that's pretty self-explanatory, and since I got it apart, you do shocks and everything else, so hope that helps. When you're done, I like to do the spin test. I spin it and I watch the gap between these two pieces here, inside of here. When you spin it, you'll see if you got that drum in there nice. And as you can see, it's not going anywhere. Then you want to do the same on the back of the flywheel, the same between here and here. Checking the tolerance to make sure that it's not manufacturally bent or you got a wobble, because any shifting that's cockeyed in this whole assembly here will cause some excessive friction, especially on the outer bearing, which will probably cause it to fail, and since it's a pain, it's nice to get it done the first time. So that's it.